And it's Ken Kraetzer for Sons of the American Legion Radio, RallyPoint.com. We're back at the Maritime College in Throgs Neck, New York. Chance to talk to Vince DiGaetano, the head coach. And Coach, you had a big win last week at 68-41. And tell us a little bit about that one.
Well, Ken, it was, again, another homecoming for us, going up to Castleton. It was a great opportunity for us to kind of move forward in what we're doing. We were happy with the way our offense performed during the course of the day. We had some breakout performances. We were happy to be able to run the football, something I think that the offensive staff had really committed to over the last couple weeks. And then, we had some moments on defense. They have a heck of a running back up there, but one of the things that we were able to do was be able to make some adjustments and overcome some things, and then have a pretty good second half.
Absolutely. 613 yards of offense, 33 first downs. But this game was close at the half, 35-28, and then you got a couple of touchdowns. Tell us a little bit about the flow of the game.
Well, I think we got out a little early. It was 14-0, and then they were able to respond. Coach up there is really, I got to tell you, a heck of a coach. He's really got some well-coached players. Been competing against him. Got a chance to compete against him my last season here in 14. It was his first season. Always been impressed with the work that he does. And he's got a young group, but they were able to really, really perform at a high level there. It put us in a position a couple of times where we had to respond to some things. We're lucky the offense was able to kind of hold us in there while we struggled a little bit defensively. But like I said, we were able to go ahead and make some of those adjustments, and we had some players step up in some key spots, which was key too. We had Cole Reek ended up with an interception right out of the gate the second half, which really was helpful to us, especially with them getting the ball first out of the half, and it kind of put us in a really good position, field position wise and momentum wise, to continue to kind of like progress towards the course of the game.
And Coach, your senior quarterback Thomas Wright, another fine game, 16-25, 199 yards, 3 touchdown passes, and ran for 89 yards. Looked like he scored a touchdown. It just must be phenomenal to have a quarterback who's that versatile and that effective at running your offense.
Yeah, and he's becoming really a strong leader too. He's really grabbing a grasp of the offense, but a new coordinator this year. I think there was some new things that kind of got put in, but I think overall he's worked very closely with Coach Benoit and his staff to really kind of solidify some of the things that have been put in over the last couple of years since about 16. So he's really been able to kind of get a really good hold of that thing too, and he's able to distribute the ball. And it was to somebody else this week, not just drum goal. But it was some other people who were able to touch the football this week too, and we were able to kind of like work it around.
And you talked a little bit about your rushing game, gaining effectiveness, also a bit about some of the ball carriers, and also your guys up front that make the blocks.
Well, one of the things that we're, I think, most proud of, I think, out of the week was the fact that our backs are starting to compete with each other, and they're really starting to work as a unit to support one another too. And Khalil Lewin had a breakout game a little bit. He was able to do some things. He caught a couple passes, and he was able to run. He had some real explosive runs, which was key. He also, coupled with Nick Mormon, who also scored 2 touchdowns this week. I mean, you're talking about 2 guys right there that have really started to step up. And then you have a really deep backfield over there too. And the other thing too is, we're starting to run the ball a little bit with Joe Butterworth is getting a little bit more of an opportunity to play, and really he's been helpful in some of the things that he does. We're getting him in a little bit in situations early in the game, so we're excited to really be versatile in kind of what we're doing there.
And Liam Bailey, still 74 tackles, I think it is. Still the key center of your defense. Tell us a little bit about Liam and some of the key playmakers on defense.
He's a special player, without a doubt. But guys up front like Jack Johnson definitely are guys that are starting to really take shape and like set the tone in there too. It's not linebackers are only as good as the guys that are in front of them. So you got guys up there like that, and you have some other guys that are able to kind of take shape in there too. And Peyton Campbell's always a guy who's going to be able to set the tone up there too. And Joe Consolazio, he had his first start this week, really played very well. But then we were really happy with some of the back end. like I mentioned before, with Carl Reek making a big interception, and Justin Snuffer and Mav in the back end. It's starting to take shape, and Coach Basil's really kind of getting that unit to work a little bit closer together. There were some spots early in the year I think that we had to work through and make sure there's some new people out there and some new different areas, but I think they're starting to get it a little bit more.
Very good. Now, you will be on the road again up to Massachusetts to play Anna Maria Saturday, 1 o'clock. Tell us a little bit about the challenge of this game.
Well, I first and foremost, when we look at the weather, I think that's probably more prevalent than anything else. And we have some weather rolling in, and we'll be up on the bus that day. So there's some things obviously we have to overcome, but that's not the only thing. And it's just something that we both have to, as both teams, us and Anna Maria. But watching them on film and Coach Mulrooney's doing up there is really exceptional. I mean, you start to see the tremendous progress that he's made now in his second year there too, and you're starting to see there's an energy on them on film. And obviously we'd expect there to be some kind of an atmosphere each week. You see them prove that we've watched them on film. Imagine to see them in the conference. So, we'd anticipate, like we always do, that there'd be a really strong atmosphere. But more than anything else, we anticipate. And, Coach, I always want to access your expertise in safety and football from your work as a trainer with USA Football. I saw a note out of the National Football League, a directive to teams who, again, watch their players on dropping their helmets when they make a tackle, which is very unsafe and can lead to injuries. And so they're going to be watching that more closely, I guess, the officials. Tell us a little bit about why that is so important, why that should be emphasized at every level of football. I mean, the obvious is that one of the things that I think at all levels of football everybody's been working on very closely is taking the head out of contact, whether it be head-to-head contact or head-to-body contact or head-to-ground contact. I think everybody's extremely cautious. So in that respect too, and that's not really anything that's new to the game, and that's definitely not something that's new over the last 10 years of really what people have been working on. And there's enough studies out there that kind of speak to that too. I think what's really gone on now is when you start to see some of the stories about how things go, you start to see about how rules are affecting the game too. And I mean, we had a targeting penalty in our game this week, and you see that things are getting called even tighter. But it's always important to note that there is public information that's out there, whether it be at the NFL level or NCAA level, about certain calls that are made. Referees are obviously always going to be subject to scrutiny, but then are also guys that are constantly learning. They're always looking at how rules are interpreted, how plays are interpreted, and our league, like every other league, does a great job of making sure that each week, if there's something that's questionable that happens or something that's a little odd, that they send it out to the referees and they make sure they see it. And I think that's really just a tip of kind of where everything is going when we start to look at rules and then the interpretation of the rules too, because obviously the overall thing is to maintain safety, and the news does take that public information, and they're able to utilize it for the good. And it's always important to do the correct research, because the internet, like I said, could be a scary place when you just Google some things. You really want to find out why things are happening and where the information's come from, especially if it's coming right from the source.
That's so important, not to get just fragments of the information. And, Coach, just a thought, I got a chance to watch the last couple of minutes of your practice today. It looked like the players were very high energy, and you found some ways to make it fun for them. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing today.
So, I mean, a little bit out there, we let the offense play defense and the defense play offense. We hear all week, and especially at this point in the season, it's important that we make this game fun. Because the challenges each day in and day out, we know we want to compete. We know we want to play on Saturday. We know we want to be part of something that's bigger than us. But I think it's important that on a daily basis we continue to compete and work against each other. So we hear all year about how certain guys can play defensive back and how they should be playing defense, and how certain guys should be playing quarterback and playing offense. And it was important for us to kind of call them out and say, hey, today's a day to do it. So we kind of let them switch it up here at the end of practice on kind of their own time, and it ended with a good energy. So we want to build off that each week.
So important. Coach Vincent DiGaetano, best wishes from all of us at the American Legion, RallyPoint.com, and your game up at Anna Maria this weekend.
Thank you very much, Ken, and thanks for everything you do.
Our pleasure. It's Ken Kraetzer at the Maritime College in Throckneck, New York.